Old Testament. I prompted how much time does it take to write Old Testament. So what are the evidences also we would need, but it by default answers the question. So I didn't bother to ask that additional point. The texts that makes up the Old Testaments were written and compiled over a very long period of time, generally estimated to be 1,000 years, approximate Spain. The composition of the text is generally believed to have occurred from the mid-second millennium BC, around 15 BC, to mid-first millennium, around 4,400 BC. Earliest text, Torah, Pentateuch. Traditional view that first five books of Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy primarily to Moses, dated them between wilderness wandering 1445 to 1405. However, many modern scholars propose that these books reached their final form much later, drawing on sources composed between 10th and 5th century. Last text. Some of the last books like Malachi, Nehemiah, Esther are dated around 450 to 400 BC, slightly later, or slightly later. It's important to understand that the Old Testament is a collection of many different books written by numerous authors, and many of the texts were likely compiled, edited, and revised over centuries before they reached their final and canonical form. Would you like to know more about the traditional authors of the Old Testament books? Okay. So basically, we can count because the time periods of the reigning of each king, we can date them back to the exile of exodus of basically Israelites. We can date that. We also would definitely need to analyze what the secular historians argue against the biblical arguments, and that's very much help us. Why would they come into conclusion? What evidence they point us to come into contrary conclusions, so that we have an idea to defend the truth that we believe in, rather than just believing in it as so because God said so. That is not the case. God said so, and we would see the evidence, we match it, and we still strong. For the case that where we don't see any evidence, but Bible is saying so, that is our hope. That would as well be true because of Jesus' resurrection.